Alright, so now the final video for section 1.1 out of your book, the basics of geometry, we're going to construct congruent segments, and we're also going to construct a perpendicular bisector slash midpoint. This is out of your textbook. It starts in chapter 3 if you want to look at that for some extra examples, but I think this hopefully should be enough. Alright, so whenever we want to construct a congruent segment, that's the first thing we're looking at doing. We're going to need a straight edge and a compass. That's it. Remember, when we talk about the straight edge, we are talking about the ruler without any markings. So whenever we're constructing these things, we do not want to make any measurements with the ruler. We're using it only to help us draw straight lines. So the first thing that I would do is I would draw a line that you believe is going to be bigger than the original segment. Doesn't matter how long you make it, that's not important right now. We just want to make sure that it's bigger than our original segment. And that should do it for me. That's going to be the last time I'm going to use the ruler or our straight edge in this example. Now I will need my straight edge, my compass. So let me get that compass out. Alright, so for my compass, what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure that segment AB with my compass. So I'm going to take my compass, and I'm going to put the middle point on either A or B, doesn't matter, and I'm going to open up my compass to where I can measure segment A. Okay, so I've got segment AB there, I've got it measured, I've got the pencil on A, I've got the middle point on B. Doesn't matter the order that you do it either way, this is just the way that I decided to do it. Alright, so I'm going to take my compass and I'm going to put the middle point on the end point of my new segment. And I'm going to take my compass without opening and closing, it's got to stay the same size. I'm going to make a mark on that segment that I drew. This segment here, and I'm going to go ahead and label this FG. It's way too big, let's shrink that down a little bit. So my new segment I'm going to say is FG. There. Okay. So there's segment FG. They're congruent. It's congruent to AB, so I can go ahead and make my little tick marks in here to let me know that those two are congruent, and I've got a congruent segment. Now with the construction, make sure that you leave your markings. Leave this little arc that you made. Leave your extra segment. That's how I'm able to tell whether or not you actually used the compass or whether you measured it with a ruler. If you measure it with a ruler and it says in your directions to construct, you will get it completely wrong. You'll get no credit for it. I have to see the markings from the compass, and I should see at least some sort of extra piece on your segment there. It doesn't have to be as long as what I did, but as long as you have at least something extra, you'll get credit for it. Okay, so very easy, simple initial first construction. The second construction that we're going to do, we're going to construct a midpoint. It's also the same construction that we'll do something called a perpendicular bisector. Okay, so for a midpoint, the first thing I'm going to need is my compass. I'm going to take the segment, and for what I would do in your notes is draw yourself a segment. It doesn't matter how big or how small you make it, but draw yourself a segment. And I want to bisect it. I want to find out the midpoint. I want the middle of this segment. So I'm going to take my compass, and I'm going to put the middle point of my compass on C. And I'm going to open this up to where it's past the halfway point. The nice thing about construction, you don't have to be extremely exact. All the markings that you make will get you exactly at the end. So for the first thing, I'm just going to take my compass, make it bigger than halfway, and I am going to draw an arc. Now, at first, as you're learning construction, make the arc bigger than what you think it needs to be, because what you don't want to do is have the arcs not big enough, because then they won't intersect. Okay, so then now I'm going to take my middle point, I'm going to put it on T, and I'm going to draw another arc. Now, those two arcs should intersect. One should intersect above your segment, one should intersect below your segment. You have to have both intersection points to receive full credit. If you only have it intersecting once, you don't necessarily have to have your ruler going straight down. You might not find the midpoint. Okay, so let me get out a straight edge here, for example. So, for example, let's say if I only had the first point I might use my straight edge like this, but that's not in the middle. If I have both arcs where they intersect, both intersection points, I can line up my straight edge, and now I know for sure that is the middle. Okay, so I'm going to put just a little marking in there. That marking is the midpoint. And I'm going to go ahead and just label that point there. Okay, so that's my midpoint. Now, this same construction can be used to do the exact same thing, except I can draw a segment that goes through that midpoint. And now this green segment here is my perpendicular bisector. And I'll write that out here for you. So it's our perpendicular bisector. All that the perpendicular bisector means is that I have a right angle right there. That lets us know that it's perpendicular. And it bisects it, which means it cuts this segment, CT, into two congruent pieces, CM and MT. Okay, so this one construction gives us two things. It gives us the midpoint. It also allows us to draw something called a perpendicular bisector. Now this is the last video for the notes for section 1.1. We'll go on to section 1.2